My vision began to shimmer like broken glass. My chest tightened with every second, and in that suffocating stillness, I realized I wasn't fighting to reach the surface anymore. I was fading beneath it. My name is Yuri Lipski. I left my life behind in the place known as the most dangerous diving site on Earth. I was a diving instructor from Moscow, Russia, a city far from the warm oceans I loved, but close to the dreams I carried in my heart. At just 22 years old, I was full of dreams, ambition, and the unshakable belief that skill, training, and courage could conquer anything, even the deep, dark unknown. Diving wasn't just my profession. Rather, it was my life, my obsession, the thing that made me feel most alive. I loved the way the world faded into a peaceful blue silence the moment I slipped beneath the surface. Moreover, I loved the weightlessness, as if I had left the burdens of life on land behind me. Above all, I loved the mystery, the feeling that at any moment, something ancient and hidden could reveal itself in the shadows below. However, passion, no matter how pure, can sometimes blind you. It can make you underestimate the dangers, believe you're invincible, and ignore the silent warnings of the deep. In other words, it can make you forget that the ocean, beautiful, vast, and silent, is also cold, merciless, and unforgiving. And so, on April 28th, 2000, in the clear, deceivingly calm waters of the Blue Hole in Dahab, Egypt, I made the biggest mistake of my life. A mistake that would cost me everything. The Blue Hole, located just a few kilometers north of Dahab, Egypt, is not like any ordinary diving site. At first glance, it looks breathtaking, a perfect circle of deep velvet blue, surrounded by the soft, shimmering turquoise of the Red Sea. In fact, it almost seems inviting, like a secret doorway to another world. However, underneath that stunning surface lies something else entirely. It is a vertical tunnel, plunging straight down over 328 feet into darkness. A silent, endless pit where the sunlight fades and the water grows colder and heavier with every meter. At about 181 feet below the surface lies the Arch, a natural underwater tunnel that leads out into the open sea. Divers from all over the world dream of swimming through it, believing it to be the ultimate test of skill and courage. Nevertheless, dreams can be deadly here. Many misjudge the depth. Many misjudge the distance. And worst of all, many misjudge their own limits. Because of this, the Blue Hole has earned a chilling nickname, the Diver's Cemetery. Around 130 to 200 divers are confirmed to have perished within its depths, and some say the true number is even higher, lost to the sea without a trace. The Arch, for all its beauty, is a master deception. From the moment you glimpse it, it plays tricks on your eyes. It looks close, just a few easy kicks away, but in reality it is much farther. Meanwhile, strong, invisible currents pull you down deeper and deeper. Moreover, there is a silent enemy of every deep diver, nitrogen narcosis. It clouds your mind, wrapping you in a false sense of safety, making you feel euphoric, untouchable, even as your body quietly approaches its limits. Time and time again, divers have tried to conquer the Blue Hole, yet few have returned to tell the tale. The day before my dive, I met Omar, a seasoned local diver who knew the Blue Hole better than anyone. He had the kind of calm that only comes from facing danger many times and surviving it. When he spoke, it wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, almost heavy with meaning. He tried to stop me and warned me twice about the dangers of the Blue Hole. There was something in his eyes, not fear, but a deep sadness. A sadness that only comes from witnessing too much loss. I nodded politely, giving him a respectful answer he deserved. But inside, my mind was already dismissing his warning. I've trained for years, I told myself. I know my limits. I know what I'm doing. I'll be fine. It's easy to mistake experience for invincibility. It's even easy to believe that death is something that happens to other people, reckless people, unlucky people, never to you. Arrogance has a way of disguising itself as confidence. And that day, without knowing it, I had already made my second mistake. On the morning of April 28th, I prepared my equipment with careful attention to every detail. Wetsuit, regulator, BCD, air tank. I checked everything twice, just as I've been trained to do. Nothing was rushed. Nothing was overlooked. Before slipping into the water, I attached a video camera to my helmet. I wanted to capture the moment I swam through the arch, a moment I dreamed of and shared with my friends back home. Above me, the sun blazed in a cloudless sky, the air hot against my skin. Below, the water sparkled like a sheet of polished glass, clear and impossibly blue. It was a perfect day for a dive, or so it seemed. A few locals stood near the shoreline, watching. Some leaned on their boats. Others simply stood barefoot in the sand, shading their eyes with their hands. They had seen many divers come and go over the years. But later they would say, that morning, as they watched me slip beneath the surface, a strange, unexplainable chill ran down their spines, as if they had seen something they could not name and could not stop. The first 60 feet passed like a dream. The sunlight still reached me, flickering like golden dancers around the coral walls. Small fish shimmered in and out of beams, their scales catching the light like jewels. At 98 feet, the water grew noticeably darker, cooler. The colors around me began to fade, swallowed slowly by the deepening blue. The weight of the ocean pressed against my chest, heavier with every breath. At 130 feet, I felt it. The first gentle whispers of nitrogen narcosis slipping into my mind. It was subtle at first, a warm, floating feeling. Calmness, euphoria. I felt invincible, as if I could stay down here forever, weightless and free. It was dangerous, but the danger didn't feel real. It felt distant, like a warning meant for someone else. At 165 feet, I started scanning for the arch. It should be here. I thought, my eyes sweeping the empty water. I swam forward, my body growing heavier, my kicks slower, but my mind was still convinced I was in full control. 180 feet, 190 feet. No arch, no familiar rock formations, no tunnel opening, only endless, featureless blue stretching in every direction. Panic began to flicker at the edges of my mind, sharp and unwelcome. I checked my depth gauge, checked it again, but the numbers blurred and shifted, slipping away before I could grab hold of them. The world tilted. Up and down began to lose meaning. Every kick felt heavier, less sure. I kicked harder, desperate to find the arch or a landmark or something to anchor myself. But there was only blue, only the crushing, silent blue. At 230 feet, my body began to sink faster than I could control. Gravity pulled at me with invisible hands, stronger and stronger. I tried to inflate my buoyancy control device, my fingers fumbling for button, but my movements were slow, syrupy, like trying to swim through a nightmare. The camera, strapped firmly to my helmet, captured everything. The frantic gestures, the disoriented kicks, the rising panic that boiled inside me, black and uncontrollable. At 300 feet, I hit the sandy bottom with a dull, soundless thud. It felt unreal, like kneeling on the surface of another planet. I looked up. The surface was a pale ghost far above me, impossibly distant, unreachable. I knelt there, frozen. My body is too heavy. My mind is too clouded. Instinctively, I placed my hand in the sand. I felt the grain slipping through my fingers, cold, soft, and heartbreakingly final. At that moment, I understood. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even afraid. I was heartbroken. I thought of my mother, waiting for a call that would never come. I thought of Omar, the stranger who had tried to save me with just a few simple words. I thought of the life I had thrown away, for nothing but pride and a dream. As the last air left my lungs, a single, clear thought crossed my fading mind. Respect the ocean. Respect your limits. Life is not a battle to win against nature. And then everything faded into silence, into stillness, into the deep. The next morning, long before the sun had fully risen, Omar gathered a small team of local divers. They moved quietly, their faces set with grim determination, as if carrying out a sacred duty they had performed too many times before. Meanwhile, The waters of the Blue Hole were calm and deceptively beautiful, betraying no hint of the tragedy lying beneath. It didn't take long to find me. At a depth of about 300 feet, I was there, resting on the sandy bottom, my body tilted slightly upward, still facing the faint light from above, as if trying to swim home. My right hand was half buried in the fine white sand. My helmet camera still intact, its lens quietly recording everything even after my story had ended. Omar swam toward me slowly, carefully, with a heaviness in his chest that no amount of experience could lighten. He paused for a moment beside me, placing a gloved hand gently on my shoulder, a silent apology, a final farewell. Then, together with the others, he secured me for the long, slow journey back to the surface. There were no sudden movements, no shouting or rushing, only the slow, deliberate care of men who understood that they were not just retrieving a body, but honoring a fallen brother. As they surfaced, a heavy silence settled over the shoreline. The small crowd gathered there, locals, fellow divers, friends, watched wordlessly. Some lowered their heads. Others whispered quiet prayers carried away by the wind. In Dahab, everyone knew the risks of the Blue Hole, yet every loss carved a fresh scar on the heart of the community. Later, when the footage from my helmet camera was reviewed, even the most seasoned divers struggled to watch it through. The slow drift into confusion, the clumsy, desperate gestures, the heartbreaking surrender to the deep. Omar sat alone afterward, staring out over the water for a long time, the video still playing silently beside him. His hands were folded tightly in his lap, and his face, usually so calm and sure, was etched with sorrow. But sometimes the ocean speaks louder than any warning, and sometimes pride blinds faster than fear. That day, it wasn't anger that filled the air, only sorrow and the deep, aching knowledge that the ocean never promises mercy, only respect or death. After my story spread, people from all around the world came to Dahab. Some came to dive, determined to conquer the Blue Hole despite the risks. Others came just to stand at the shoreline, to stare into that endless blue and feel the weight of all the souls who had never come back. Over time, a small memorial grew near the entrance, a rough stone wall with names carefully etched into it. Yuri Lipski, and so many others, divers who had chased the beauty, the mystery, and paid with their lives. Sometimes new divers would stop and read the names before descending. Some would pause a little longer. Some would change their minds and turn away. I like to think that, in a small way, I am still here, not trapped, not lost, but standing silently among those names, whispering a warning, not to scare you, not to keep you from chasing your dreams, but to remind you, courage is not about ignoring fear. It's about listening to it. Skill, ambition, passion, these are powerful gifts. But without respect for nature, without humility before forces far greater than yourself, they can become deadly. The ocean does not hate you. The ocean does not love you. It simply is vast, beautiful, ancient, and indifferent. Every dive is a conversation with something older and more powerful than we can imagine. And like any conversation with the unknown, it demands respect. So if you ever find yourself standing on the edge of adventure, whether it's a Blue Hole or any unknown frontier, remember me. Remember that sometimes the bravest choice is not to go deeper, but to know when to turn back. Carry your dreams with you. Carry your passion, but also carry wisdom. Carry caution. Carry the memory of those who didn't. We are all visitors here, in the ocean, in this life. Tread carefully. Breathe deeply. And when the time comes to choose between pride and survival, choose life. Always choose life.